Hi, my name is Heavenly Harris, and I have selected the Presbyterian Church USA, which I chose because it's presently the largest denomination affiliated with Presbyterianism in the United States. Per the assignment, I've also selected a denomination outside of my own, which is a Christian church. And since time is limited, I've decided to present important aspects of Presbyterianism that primarily differ from my own restorationist traditions. That being said, I think it's important to commit ourselves to objectivity and honesty, which is essential to historical investigation. As far as the history of the Presbyterian Church goes, it's very complicated. You can see from the graphic that there's been a lot of changes, but I found a historian, Robert Handy, who made it a little bit easier for me to understand, and he basically explained that after the Civil War, several of the denominations had just divided and came together to form a Northern and a Southern Presbyterian Church, which actually eventually also merged in 1983 to form the Presbyterian Church USA. As far as the organization goes, it's very sophisticated. We have a congregation. It's called a session. Congregations are governed by elected elders as well as any pastors that serve the church. And sessions come together to form a presbytery, and then presbyteries come together to form a synod. There are 16 synods in the United States, and you can see from the map they're color-coded, they're regional synods. And each synod is able to choose both elders and clergy to represent that synod in the General Assembly, which is the legislative body for the church. They make all of the rules and regulations and things like that. This struck me as very democratic, and I found a 2012 study that supported that. The study was of Presbyterian Church USA clergy, and the clergy made it clear from the study that they also thought the democratic tradition was very important, even going so far as to say that the fate of democracy and the church are bound together. As far as some beliefs of the church, predestination is a big belief, one of the tenets, consistent with the Calvinist tradition. The Presbyterian Church USA maintains that God predestines the elect to go to heaven and that human beings have no role in their salvation. And this influences a lot of how the church, how they worship and things like that. All of these information about their beliefs come from the Presbyterian Church website. An author also had discussed kind of the influence on the church polity and organization and how it has possibly influenced some of the church's viewpoints and decisions. And this author believed that because of the way the church is set up in a democratic way and how the General Assembly makes decisions based on a vote of a consensus of the members, as opposed to really keeping theology kind of at its center point, that is what has led to some more progressive views on behalf of the Presbyterian Church. They seem a little more progressive than a lot of other denominations. A couple of examples could be in regard to sexuality. They actually recognize that and value diverse sexual orientations. In 2011 is kind of when they kind of clarified their policy, and one of the key parts of this policy is their value on a human's ability to kind of select and choose their own conscience. They believe that humans were given reason and intellect and that they can read their Bible and they can kind of make their own decision. And so they came up with a policy that was allowed for a congregation or for a pastor to choose to perform same-sex marriage, but not that they had to. And actually the same with ordination. So they said that if a session wanted to have a pastor that was homosexual, then that would be permitted. And it wasn't too long after that, in 2012, that the first homosexual pastor was ordained. Capital punishment, they are against capital punishment in all circumstances. So that was another thing that I found that was maybe a little bit different from some other viewpoints. With just a few minutes, I had to pick just a few things to discuss, and so I selected several things that were just different from my own tradition and my own church.